Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. Yes, Doctor Who Season 11 is The Last Jedi. The same heated debates, the same propaganda spread by mainstream shill media. The reviews 100%. The ratings from the audience really low. It's the same. But something else they have in common, both properties after these things were dumbed down. So I found The Last Jedi really dumbed down to other Star Wars movies. I found Doctor Who Season 11 really dumbed down compared to the other seasons in Doctor Who. And I'm not just talking about the revival, I'm talking about the classic series as well. It was really dumbed down. So if we just focus on the Doctor was very like this, very non-offensive. Can someone explain to me what this expression was about? What was all that about? Was that trying to be David Tennant or Matt Smith? You see, one of the big mistakes that Chibnall made, he didn't give this character anything, any foibles, any characteristics. So we are now in a situation with Star Wars and Doctor Who Season 11 where we're questioning the future of the show. So it's very interesting what else is very similar. So Star Wars The Last Jedi made just over $1 billion in the box office, which is very healthy for any film. But when it's a film called Star Wars and the last film made over $2 billion, it's not great. It's great in terms of what the film cost, but they would have been looking to make more money. Now, in terms of Doctor Who Season 11, the ratings were very solid. And of course, defenders of Doctor Who Season 11 used the ratings as a defence. But as far as the hardcore are concerned, whether it's Star Wars The Last Jedi or Doctor Who Season 11, we class both these as failures. Not because of the money, not because of the ratings, but because of the content of the actual piece. And I feel I had similar emotions after The Last Jedi and after Doctor Who Season 11. And that was, I felt underwhelmed. I felt like I wasn't given anything. I wasn't given any character beats. I wasn't compelled. I wasn't excited. And it's the same for both properties. So what they did, in fact, is deflate both properties. What's going on now is political agendas are invading the entertainment industry. And who's paying the price of this, of course? Us, the fans. But ultimately, what the BBC and Lucasfilm and Disney have underestimated is the power of the consumer. Because at the end of the day, if we walk away from these properties, they have nothing. Nothing. Who are they going to have? A bunch of kind of PC audience members who don't buy anything, who don't buy the box sets, who don't buy the movies, who don't support the actual IP. We're the ones who support these IPs. But what's happened is, what you've seen happen is a creation of YouTubers, a creation of Twitter sites or Twitter users that are going for these properties with all that they're worth. In terms of Star Wars, I've mentioned this before, you've got world-class bullshitters, you've got geeks and gamers who are really doing a lot of damage. Now, these people don't want to damage Star Wars, but they do want Lucasfilm and Disney to understand that we, the hardcore, are not happy about this situation. And it's happening as well with Doctor Who. We have Bowstreak, we have El Patron, and there's so many more fans who are making their voices heard. And making your voices heard is very important, because it's about driving this political entity, these people, these SJWs, out of the entertainment industry. And we only can do that when we show our power. Will I be back for Doctor Who Season 12? Honestly, I don't know. Because right now, there's nothing driving me to watch Doctor Who anymore. I'm not excited anymore. You know, when I think about Doctor Who and the opportunity missed here, right? You wanted to cast a woman. Fair enough. You had an opportunity to show us the Doctor struggling with the change of from a man to a woman. That would have been a very kind of real, relatable thing to do. As the fans are struggling with the change, the Doctor herself is struggling with being a woman. people's attitudes towards her. That, you know, everything, the way she feels, not being used to being a woman. Lots of different issues there. But another deep question is, if the Doctor's outer shell is female, is the Doctor in fact actually female? Or inside, is the Doctor still a man? These are questions that could have given this series gravitas. But the Doctor's struggle with being a woman would have been very, very interesting. Instead, as soon as she sees her reflection, she goes, brilliant. What? You ask anyone, any kind of transgender person who has the operation, even though they've always felt like a certain gender in another gender's body, when they have the change, it's very difficult to get used to it because you're used to a different way. And for me, there's a bit of an insult here to transgender people because you're saying, born regeneration, I'm a woman, don't worry about it. But if this Doctor struggles with what she is now because she's never been a woman, but what we got from Chris Chibnall was that once she has been a woman. I ask you, so no struggle, no depth, no kind of development within the character. I think that would have been a lot more relatable and logical and would have got people on board. You know, all of a sudden I'm a woman, and this is where I am now. I didn't decide to be a woman. I am a woman. I'm not used to this. Help me. You know, new friends help me come to terms with this. That could have been part of the internal struggle of this new female Doctor. They talk about this being very important that we had the first female Doctor. Well, you didn't act like it was important. You didn't do anything with it. You didn't give it any gravitas, let alone this show not really being Doctor Who or sci-fi anymore. We barely travelled to other planets. They were just a lot more focused on things like the partition of India. Yes, the Doctor has always travelled to different time zones and countries in the world. Yes, I get that. But at the end of the day, this is a sci-fi show, and that element was stripped away. Another big issue was, of course, that no classic monsters, but not to give us anything that was worth, you know, taking those classic monsters away was very disappointing. You know, Stephen Moffat used the classic monsters, but he also gave us the silence. The silence is one of the best concepts, not just in Doctor Who, but in sci-fi history. They are brilliant. They look brilliant, but the workings of them makes them absolutely frightening. You know, the statues, whatever you call them, right? I forgot, right? The angels, right? Another fabulous concept. They don't actually do anything, like physically, but when you blink, they move. That is so scary. Again, that's genius. This guy gave us nothing like this because the reality is Chris Chibnall is a very talented writer, but he lacks an imagination and he's obsessed with the real world. And this is what the problem we have with Rian Johnson in Star Wars. Not a Star Wars fan, not a fan of the fantastic, of the epic, of the emotional, just kind of trying to represent real world issues. And when I go and watch Doctor Who, and when I go and watch Star Wars, that's not what I want. So the real issues aren't actually that they gave us a female Doctor. It's actually that the show just doesn't stand up in entertainment. It wasn't even funny. Doctor Who is always funny. So there's so many issues away from the fact that they cast a female. My only issue with the female thing was they didn't have the Doctor struggling with becoming a woman. Now, all you Doctor Who defenders can say what you want and you can wave ratings in my face, but the reality is here that this show had nothing this season. So when people are moaning about the break, and I think it is outrageous that he's insisted that this takes so long, I still I don't care that it's gone for a year. I don't. Because this version, I don't care about it. I'm not invested in it. And the truth is, Doctor Who defenders, neither are you. And then I'll flip this over to The Last Jedi. What The Last Jedi did was this is how it made people feel about Star Wars. It's like, oh well, episode 9, solo Star Wars story, don't care. Star Wars animated series, don't care. Star Wars live action series on Disney Plus, don't care. They've taken all our love and excitement from Doctor Who and Star Wars, two properties, two IPs. You only had to think about them and you would be excited. You would be buzzing for the next episode of Doctor Who on the next Star Wars movie. Somehow they've taken all that excitement away from us. So what happens next is that I said to someone, there's someone who's got their own website, does Doctor Who podcasts and everything. Oh, how are you coping with the Doctor Who, dry spell? And I said to him, I said, mate, there's no dry spell because I've got loads of eras of Doctor Who in my cupboard. So, in fact, what I'm going to do now is just binge my favourite eras of Doctor Who. That's all I can do now. It's like having a shower because I feel dirty from watching what I've watched. So, when you Doctor Who defenders talk about us being racists and sexists, that's not true. We have proper, valid points. I read an article in the Radio Times saying only a few people didn't like season 11. Only a few. It's not true, of course. It's not true. But this is what I'm talking about. The same propaganda defending Disney Star Wars, that's the same propaganda, defending Doctor Who season 11. But if you peel back the bullshit, you'll see the truth. That they have destroyed two beautiful IPs, two beautiful franchises, taken all the fun out of them, and now left them for dead.